Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Basildon Side by Side International Women's Day Conference. And we are so excited because this is the first time we've had this occasion. It's the first time because Basildon Side by Side, of course, itself is a new organization, and we are thrilled to be here this evening. So everyone, welcome, everyone from Basildon, from across the UK who are joining us live this evening. It's really an honor to have you all here this evening, and we are thrilled that you are able to join us. So this evening we are joined by, we've got some house rules. Because we are live on YouTube, we are asking that everybody remains muted unless you are speaking, because we don't want any interruptions to be highlighted, of course, as you speak. We don't want to pick up any additional unnecessary sound as the speakers are speaking. So that's house rule number one. House rule number two, please remain muted throughout the presentation unless it is you speaking. If you need to ask a question, please write it down temporarily, or put your question in chat so that we can pick it up and do the questions and answers at the end. Because we do have a few important guests, we would like to hear from everybody tonight. So in order to allow that time, everybody has a different time slot. We would allow them to say everything that they've come to say to us, so that this time and this opportunity that we have with our guest speakers is not wasted. And then we will ask questions at the end, providing we still have enough time. If you can either, if you need to raise your hand at question time, please use the emoji, or just raise your hand, physically raise your hand, and I'll try and pick up the raising up of your hands at the same time. Okay, so this evening, we are honored at Basildon Side by Side to have with us, of course, we have Dr. Kupaka, who is the Basildon Side by Side chairperson. We have our first keynote speaker, who is Her Majesty's Lord Lieutenant of Essex, and none other than Jenny Tolhurst, who is here with us tonight. We also have the Mayor of Brent, who is also our keynote speaker. So we are lucky that we have two. Councillor Ernest Ezigwe, who is also joining us tonight as a keynote speaker. Later on, we will be hearing from the Vice President of the United States of America, Kamala Harris. She's not with us live, but we found a way for her to be able to join us this evening. So you'll have to watch out what trick we pull out of the bag to make sure we hear from the Vice President. We also have with us tonight our guest speaker, Dr. Arpita Ray, who is one of the directors at Basildon Side by Side. And we also have with us Sidra Nahim, who is sort of like a consultant to Basildon Side by Side, and we will be hearing from her. And of course, we have to hear from Reverend David Ibiayo, who is the thematic group leader for community cohesion and engagement. And because this event actually falls under his remit, that's why he's allowed here. And Dr. Kupaka is allowed here because he's the chairman, and we can't really do anything without him. So that's why the men are here, and they wanted company. So we allowed them to invite also to join us this evening, the Mayor of Brent. So you're all welcome. Without further ado, because we have spent a lot of time already this evening, please join me to welcome to the podium Dr. Kupaka.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Yetunde, for that eloquent introduction. Welcome, everyone, to Basildon Side by Side, first International Women's Day. We hope that you will learn a lot from what we're going to discuss this evening. I know that it won't be complete to just talk about International Women's Day without giving a background about around how President Side by Side came about. I'm not going to spend a lot of time because this is a Women's Day, so I don't want to offend our women. But just quickly, we formed President Side by Side in June last year in response to Black Lives Matter. But the community in Basildon came together to do things as one. It's a type of social movement that sees every community, especially the Black, Asian, minority ethnic groups, coming together to work together in to develop our borough and also have a say. There are quite a few things we've planned out, which you will see at the end of my short speech. But our mission statements goes to create an enabling environment that supports individuals, groups, and communities of Black, Asian, and minority ethnic groups to realize their potential, address social isolation, inequality, and insecurity by improving the experiences of those living and working within Basildon Borough. This is our mission statement, and this is one of the things that keep us together. The movement is going ahead strongly, and we're having so much interest from all the communities across Basildon in what we do. They want to be part of it. So after the mission statement, we just share our vision. Our vision is just to achieve an inclusive Basildon Borough for everyone. This, we have come together as a community to develop these words. Each of what you see here means a lot to the residents of Basildon. Now, as a community, we want to do things. We just don't want to sit down and talk. We actually mean business. And that gave birth to the thematic groups. There are 6 of them. If you look at these groups, we have group on education, economic development, health and well-being, policing and hate crime, community cohesion and engagement, and young people ambassador. These are headed by leaders. The education one, we have people there, and we are hoping people like Sidra will be there because we have potentials, we have professionals who can make a difference in our borough. Economic development is headed by Rani, who is at EBFR. She's working on that with some other people. Health and well-being is headed by me, and we have a team of people here as well. Policing and hate crime is headed by the Vice Chair, Yetunde, who just introduced everyone. We have community cohesion and engagement, headed by Reverend David Ibiayo. This is the reason why you have another man here, apart from the mayor, obviously, who is our keynote speaker. And then we have the young people ambassador. Well, the ambassador will come up very soon. So this is in a nutshell what Basildon Side by Side is all about. We could not, this is not time to explain everything we do because it's going to take time. But if you can go to our website and look at some of the things we're doing for more information. We're also on Facebook and Twitter and on YouTube. Some of the things we do like today will be on YouTube. So I will quickly hand back the mic, I will call it, the microphone to Yetunde, to continue this special event. Yetunde, over to you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Kupaka. Once again, I'm back and it's time to get the show on the road. It's time to get the show on the road. And this evening, we are so honored and privileged to have with us Her Majesty's Lord Lieutenant of Essex, Jennifer Tolhurst, to join us this evening. One thing I have to say about this amazing woman is that when we did the Basildon side-by-side launch, we invited her as a guest and she came. And one thing we didn't do was to give her, so we don't normally, you wouldn't normally invite, you know, Her Majesty's Lord Lieutenant of Essex to an event and not allow them to say something. So this is the reason why we've actually decided to just create a platform just for you, Jenny. This day is all about you. So enjoy it. And we're looking forward to hear what you have to say for us. We just want to use this opportunity to thank you for attending the Basildon side-by-side launch. And of course, for joining us today again. We are so privileged. So without further ado, please welcome with me to the podium of to the podium of social media, Jenny Tolhurst, Her Majesty Lord Lieutenant.
Tunde, thank you very much. It's absolutely not about me today at all. It's very much about Basildon side by side. And when I first heard that expression side by side, quite apart from the fact that it's just a brilliant way of describing what you're wanting to do, I was brought up to listen to jazz, amongst other things. And one of my father's favorite records, and I have it as well, is Johnny Hodges and Duke Ellington, wonderful jazz performers. And their album was Side by Side. And so that really means something to me in that form. But I must also just say that, of course, this is a big day because it's a whole year since the lockdown started. So I just want to say that my thoughts are with those for whom the last year has been a real struggle, and thoughts and prayers with you.
Thank you.
So thank you for inviting me to attend this evening and to give me the chance as the first female Lord Lieutenant of Essex to tell you something of the work of the Lord Lieutenant and the Lieutenancy as a whole, and highlight the contribution made by women and the growing number of people from the BAME community who are having an influence in Essex. Now, I don't know whether you know that the new Bishop of Chelmsford is a woman, and she is the Right Reverend Dr. Guli Francis Takani. She was born in Iran, and her family left the country after the Iranian Revolution in 1980, when she was 13 years old. Her position is considered to be very significant as a BAME appointment to a major diocese in the Church of England. You may also know that Kemi Badenoch is the Member of Parliament for Saffron Walden. She was born in Wimbledon to parents of Nigerian origin and lived in Lagos, Nigeria and the United States until moving back to England at the age of 16. Now, another person I've met on several occasions is another Yewande Kanike. Yewande is one of the founding members of One Community Development Trust in Thurrock, and in 2018, they won the extremely prestigious Queen's Award for Voluntary Service. She and her team work relentlessly to support people in the southern part of Thurrock, particularly Tilbury, to fulfill their potential in becoming self-sustaining by supporting individuals through various personal development programs, community cohesive activities, and partnership working initiatives to create a community in which to be proud to live. I expect this sounds familiar to you because it sounds a bit like what you're about. Mm-hmm. Finally, I'm really delighted that one of my deputies, Sidra Naeem, is attending this evening and will be speaking later. Sidra is, you will discover, a quite remarkable woman. You already know that, I know. There are people on the panel. There are so many things to say about her and the serious work she does, which will be talked about later. But one thing I wanted to mention now, because for me it captures an attitude which I think is so important, is that everybody, whatever they believe or their ethnicity, should have fun together. And to this end, Sidra organises an annual cricket event between the Chelmsford Mosque and the Cathedral, and it brings people together. And of course, cricket is a game that many people are passionate and very skilled with. So now a little bit about my role. The role of the Lord Lieutenant, as you probably know, is to be Her Majesty the Queen's personal representative in the county. And in this role, I'm invited to a great many functions where I must represent the Queen. It's a great, great honour. People often ask whether I have met the Queen, and the answer is yes. We've been to Buckingham Palace to be presented to her. This is my husband, obviously, and myself. We also went to Windsor Castle for the weekend in order to learn more about the role of the Lord Lieutenant. And although we did not meet Her Majesty on that occasion, it was extremely interesting and gave us a real feel for what the job was about. The role is hugely varied, and at the top of the list is being involved with royal visits, the planning and the recce. And on the actual day, I have to greet the royal person and look after them during their visit. We've had, 20 or so royal visits since I took up the role 3 years ago, starting with Prince Harry to the Wilderness Foundation at Chatham Green. Now, Yewande, I don't know, did you receive my picked photographs? Doesn't matter if you didn't.
Did you send them to Chairman?
I did, yeah.
Okay, okay, I'll try and get it up now. Hold on 1 second.
They're in a zip file, so if it doesn't work, don't worry. I'll press on, and if
I get them, I'll.
Yeah. So yes, Prince Harry, that was really a terrific day, and just before lockdown, we had a visit from the Earl and Countess of Wessex, who visited. They're on a mission to visit islands around the British Isles, and of course we've got a few off Essex, and some of them are inhabited, and so they went to Foulness and Mersey, and ended up at Tiptree Jam. And it was the Earl's birthday, so we had happy birthday everywhere and cakes at Tiptree Jam. There's a strong link with the military, just as the Queen has a strong interest in supporting the men and women who served in our armed forces. In the 16th century, lieutenants were appointed in each county by Henry VIII to form militias to keep the peace and to provide resistance to protect us from invasion from the Spanish and French. And I'm pleased to say that this is not exactly the form it takes nowadays, but there still is a very strong connection. So in that capacity, I have military cadets to escort me. They are the best military cadets from the Army, Air Force and Navy, and are chosen to be the Lord Lieutenant's cadets and get to accompany me on various suitable occasions. They look very smart in their uniforms, and they meet a wide variety of people. They meet everybody I meet and have some fantastic experiences. Also, I do what I can to support the military reservists, in particular, to encourage businesses to consider releasing an employee for this very important work. I attend a fascinating seminar in London once a year where we are addressed by the head of the Army, Air Force, Navy, and the Chief of the Defence Staff, General Carter, on the state of the British Army and the importance of our reservists and cadet forces. The reservists actually are becoming increasingly important, so they're part-time, and they bring with them very often technical skills which the Army might not otherwise be able to access. And it works in the reverse as well, because they learn all sorts of things from having been involved with the military and can take that back to their workplace, team playing and so on, leadership, management. In Essex, we have got a very large garrison, and you probably know at Colchester. It's a place where there's been a garrison since Roman times, and it is now presently the home of the 16th Air Assault Brigade. The Lord Lieutenant is also chairman of the Lord Chancellor's Advisory Committee in the county, which is the body that recruits magistrates, and it's involved also with the conduct of magistrates. The structure of this is changing at the moment, but the connection with the monarch is still there. I'm very involved with recruiting magistrates, and I do attend the swearing-in ceremonies and have been frequently to Basildon for that occasion. Nearly all nominations for national honours comes across the Lord Lieutenant's desk. Of all the national honours that are awarded, they all are presented by the Queen, with the exception of the British Empire Medal, which is given out by the Lord Lieutenant in the county and not in London. There are many other awards to give out and ceremonies to attend. Remembrance Sunday and the days surrounding it are absolutely full of events which the Lord Lieutenant is expected to go to. Supporting volunteers is something that the Queen and all the royal family are passionate about. They also support the business community. And so there are two royal awards, the Queen's Award for Volunteers and the Queen's Award for Enterprise. The Queen's Award for Volunteers is given to organisations where the volunteers are a key part of the work, and they're nominated by someone not in the organisation, and their nomination is assessed by a Deputy Lieutenant, and then a panel in the Cabinet Office makes a final decision. Amongst the successful organisations have been churches and all sorts of volunteer groups, including Yoandes. All their supporters and others in the community come to the award ceremonies, and they're tremendous occasions. And it's a great opportunity to celebrate the wonderful people that give their time in Essex. The Queen's Award for Enterprises for Business. Businesses put themselves forward for this. The assessment is done from London and is very rigorous. The award has been given to 7 companies this year, which we're very proud about. That's, in fact, our score on volunteer groups and on the business groups is right up there in the county, you'll be pleased to hear. Through my involvement with these 2 awards, I've met some wonderful people and organisations. We should be very proud of them. On the one hand, of our volunteers, and on the other hand, those who innovate and develop their products and then successfully trade both at home and abroad. We should also be very proud that Essex University has a wonderful innovation centre, and that Anglia Ruskin University has just built the first medical school in Essex. There are a number of other things to celebrate about Essex, and I have been around every town and village and church into organisations all over Essex, and attended events, festivals and ceremonies. Now, several years ago, shortly after I became Lord Lieutenant, a request came from the Cabinet Office for the Lord Lieutenants to mark 100 years since the Commonwealth was founded. It occurred to me that the best way to do this would be to have a multi-faith service in the cathedral in Chelmsford. So with the permission of the Dean, I put together a committee, and we had a marvellous service to celebrate 100 years of the Commonwealth. In organising this, I was determined to have children there. So I asked the mayors and chairmen from all around Essex if they would like to come and whether they could arrange for several children from their borough or district to come in Commonwealth national costume. They did. They processed in, and it set the scene wonderfully. We had trumpeters from King Edward's Grammar School and a military band from Colchester, and dancers and a Fijian choir which stole the show, and a bishop from Africa who preached. It was a wonderful occasion. But what is it like being a Lord Lieutenant during lockdown? Well, like everybody else, it's all very different. Everything changed on the 23rd of March, 2020. At the beginning of lockdown, the first thing that happened was that my diary emptied. People rang up to say that very sadly they were going to have to cancel events. There were several royal visits which I and the deputy clerk to the lieutenancy had arranged for April and May, and they had to be postponed. I hope they will be rescheduled, because the places they were going to visit were really looking forward to the occasion, and so much work goes into the preparation. So with a clear diary, I set about doing domestic jobs, which I hadn't done for a little while, like sorting out cupboards and relining drawers and cleaning the house from top to bottom and gardening. I also planned and did a daily session online with 2 of my grandsons talking about the seasons, and then the Stone Age and the Bronze Age, and then last was the Iron Age. I would put together a PowerPoint presentation and send it to their father, and then on a split screen I would go through it with them, boys pressing the buttons to move on the slide. I think there's probably a better way of doing this, and although I have acquired a few new technical skills over the pandemic, there are more things I would like to learn. Now, I also offered to help with the Danbury volunteers and did a 2-hour stint manning a telephone at St John the Baptist Church Hall once a week. More about that in a minute. But then I began to realise that the ability to resume normal activity was not going to happen for a very long time. And so I started to focus on my various Lord Lieutenant duties and to see what I could usefully do and adapt to. Without going into too much detail, I've had many, many meetings using various platforms and of course the telephone, keeping in touch with the Chief Constable and the Essex Resilience Forum to hear and give feedback information, the Chief Executive of Essex County Council, other Lord Lieutenants in adjacent counties to find out what's happening in their counties, my 55 Deputy Lieutenants who are doing a variety of excellent things, engaging with their communities or our county, or even nationally and internationally to help during the pandemic. I've written many letters to all the people I'm involved with on a regular basis, offering support and encouragement. Over VE Day, because of the lockdown, I was unable to attend the ceremony at the War Memorial at Colchester to lay a wreath on behalf of Her Majesty the Queen. It was to have been a very big occasion because of the army garrison. In the event, they organised a very small gathering in the barracks instead of at the War Memorial, and I was able to send up a wreath, which was the first one to be laid and was done by a very smart young gunner in the Royal Horse Artillery. Meanwhile, I remained at home and kept the 2-minute silence on my front door step. But back to the Danbury volunteers, because I feel they're an example of what's been happening all around the county. I feel very privileged to have met this wonderful group of people. It's been an absolute pleasure to work with them, albeit in a very small way. So much thought and planning has gone into the setting up and running of this organisation, and their goodwill and ingenuity has led to a service which is benefiting so many people in Danbury and the surrounding area. They are not alone. This is happening up and down the county and in Basildon, with good people putting themselves out for others. I could spend all day telling you about the incredibly diverse role of the modern Lord Lieutenant, excuse me, and the wide range of organisations, events and awards that I've been to. But I just really wanted to say what a special thing it is to meet so many different people and see the wonderful things that people do and helping them to celebrate their work and the contribution they make to our county. I know, as we all do, that there are many people who have had and are having a grim time at the moment, in particular those who've lost loved ones. There are those who are not able to see elderly relations, who are confined at home or in care homes, and others who have serious financial and health concerns. I send you my best wishes and prayers. I hope, though, that we will look back on this extraordinary period and will also remember some special things. The superb work of the NHS and all the carers, all the frontline staff, the volunteers, the military, people making deliveries and collecting refuse, people pulling together, and as your movement's name suggests, standing side by side. Thank you very much.
Thank you ever so much. Thank you ever so much. That was very wonderful, very touching, and I think very precise for what we were looking for. So thank you so much for your time and for sharing with us. I do have those pictures now, if you want to quickly talk us through them before we go on to the next speaker. Is that okay? Lovely. Great, fantastic.
There are only 5 of them.
Okay, so I'll just share. I'll go with this one first.
Right, well, you all know who that is. That was Prince Harry coming to the Wilderness Foundation, which is near Chelmsford and is an organisation to help young people find themselves, actually, by being in the outside. Lots of supportive things go on there, and it's the most wonderful setup. I can't recommend it highly enough. And if anybody is interested in getting young people outside, look it up. Oh, this was at the Army, oh, I've forgotten what it's called. I've got it written down here. Anyway, it's a very special occasion where we are celebrating everything to do with the military, and it was at Stowe-Maries. And in fact, here I'm talking to a Chelsea pensioner who came up, and I had a funny moment with him because, as you do, you go around talking to people, and I happened to say to him, and where have you come from? I mean, that is just quite the most crazy thing to say to a Chelsea pensioner, because you know exactly where he's come from. He's come from Chelsea. Anyway, he had quite a chuckle at that. And when I walked past him afterwards, I was in formal setup at that stage, he called out to me. He said, "Anytime you're in Chelsea, come and see me." So we had a bit of a giggle about that, which was fun. Armed Forces Day. That's what I was trying to remember. That's what it was. This is a cathedral. This is the celebration for the Commonwealth, and the cleric in the front there is the bishop from Nigeria, and we had such a lovely time. It was really, really good. And I hope you can find another picture of that, showing the children. There. So they were from all around Essex, every borough and district.
Can I just say that some of our children, actually 2 of our children, were taken by the mayor of Basildon at the time, David Harrison.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. So he contacted me and he said, "Yetunde, you've got a children's group. Can you give me some of your children? I want them at this age." So of course we had to see who out of them were available. And I'm actually trying to see, and I think I can see, I think you had Alex. Yeah, Alex is in his Nigerian outfit there with his, yeah, so I can see Alex. I can't see the other person. So yeah, so we were part of that in children wise.
It was special, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Okay, just the last one now.
Yes, I think this is the Wessexes. Yeah, so that was the last royal visit we had. That's the Countess of Wessex on his birthday.
Ah, wow.
Made it rather especially happy day, actually, because everybody enjoyed singing happy birthday, and all the children at this particular stop all gave him cards and stuff. So anyway, thank you very much for asking me, and it's a pleasure to support you. Thank you, Yetunde.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us. We do appreciate it. We appreciate you. I do hope that you can stay with us till a little bit, at least towards the end, so that we can ask some questions when the time comes. Okay, so moving on very quickly, I'm going to bring to the podium now our next keynote speaker, who is the mayor of Brent. So another person that is representing the Queen. I think it's about time we met the Queen on Basildon side by side. What does everybody think? Okay, so bringing up the mayor of Brent. I'm just trying to bring up the presentation. Okay, it's here. Yeah, bringing up the next speaker, our next keynote speaker is Councillor Ernest Ejejugwe. He's going to correct me when he comes back. I do apologize, but he is the mayor of Brent. Once again, he was here to support us for when we went, when we did the Basildon side by side launch earlier on in the year in January. So we thought, again, we had to honor our mayor. So please join me to welcome to the podium the mayor of Brent.
Yetunde, thank you very much for the introduction. Can I say good evening to everyone? And as you rightly said, my name is Councillor Ernest Ejejugwe, the mayor of London Borough of Brent. Sometimes I tell people I'm the mayor of London Borough of Brent. People say, where is Brent? But immediately you tell people Brent is in Wembley. Oh, Wembley Stadium. That's what you people know. So Brent, literally, we are at the heart of Wembley. So many thanks for the invitation and for this International Women's Day celebration titled Women in Leadership. And I will also use the opportunity now to thank Dr. Obaka, who is the chair, the Basildon side-by-side members, the keynote speaker, Her Majesty, Lord Lieutenant of Essex, Jennifer Tolhurst, and all these lined up speakers that will be speaking soon, and every other everyone who is here this evening. And I will also use the opportunity to join the Lord Lieutenant to express my deep sympathies to families who lost their loved ones as we reflect today, the National Day of Reflection. This celebration has been observed since the 1900s, but was first held in 1911 and has since moved from strength to strength. That's International Women's Day. This is one of the most important days of the year to celebrate women's achievements, raise awareness about women's equality, lobby for accelerated gender parity, and fundraise for female-focused charities. Although in my opinion, women should be celebrated every day for all that they do in their respective families, workplaces, communities, and the world as a whole. So it's not just to celebrate women on the month of March during the International Women's Month. Going back to this year's theme is choose to challenge. I think the theme is quite, have a lot of meanings. And looking back from 1911, when this celebration started, how far can we challenge to get it balanced? I think is the key question for this evening. I also got some wordings from the International Women's Day website, and it reads, a challenge word is an alert word. Individually, we are all responsible for our own thoughts and actions all day, every day. Again, it's all have very important meaning. We can all choose to challenge and call out gender bias and inequality. We can all choose to seek out and celebrate women's achievements. Collectively, we can all help create an inclusive world. And that is what BEM is asking. That's what happened in America last year. People are asking for inclusive world where everyone will be equal, as simple as that. This one in simple wraps up what the theme for this year stands for. But looking at the previous year's themes, they pretty much have the same message. We must all stand up and be counted by believing in and standing up for what is right. There's no place for complacency. According to the World Economic Forum's Global Gender Gap Report 2020, it indicates that it will still take more than a lifetime to make equality a reality, and this shows that there is urgent work to do, and we can all play a part. Again, that brings us back to the theme, challenge, challenge, challenge. This change can be achieved by increasing women representation in leadership. They act as role model to inspire other women to succeed. However, women leaders also have the power to make changes that will increase equality both in the workplace and the wider society. Identifying, celebrating, and increasing visibility of women's achievements can help forge equality. So your workplace, whatever you're doing, put on that challenge, put on your visibility. You are the best. People should not put you aside. Better equipping women in terms of improved skills or reskilling by providing opportunities such as progressing education, which will help them to secure the top roles. Hiring women in top roles in different sectors, creating inclusive work cultures through programs and initiatives can also impact positive change for women. This will help attract and retain female workers. I will give a very simple example. When an employer puts out an advert asking for applicants to apply, sometimes a woman might want to apply for that role, but some of that requirements in the person specification mentioned may put off female candidates from applying due to certain wording added to the adverts. So we have to challenge this. We should not leave this to be swept in under the carpet. If we don't talk about it, if you don't say it, again, it will continue to happen. We have to change the mindsets, cultures, and policies. These are changing, but there's still much to do. Going back to women being represented in leadership, we had the likes of Alice Paul, Emily Pankhurst, and many others who had fought for women's equality in their time. Today, there are high-profile women leaders from all walks of life. In my background, I can understand I'm from Nigeria. We have someone like Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, who is now the Director General of World Trade Organization. I mean, Ngozi has done brilliant as a finance minister in Nigeria, and she has put her weight in World Bank and excel now to be the Director General of World Trade Organization. Also, I always use late Dr. Akunyele, Professor Dora Akunyele, who used to head one of the most sensitive positions in Nigeria, Director General of NAFDAC. When she was the Director General of NAFDAC in Nigeria, is a drug regulatory body, you dare, as a woman, get a counterfeit drug because she will deal with you as appropriate. So you can see where women are on top of the position, they always deliver. We have some other great women, Angela Merkel, the Prime Minister of New Zealand, Jacinda Ardern, Oprah Winfrey, to mention a few, but we need more. The important thing is that we need more, and that's where that challenge has to come in. As the saying goes, the more, the merrier. So the challenge this evening is that we need to get more people in those top positions. In Brent, we have our CEO, Caroline Downs, who is a woman, and she has managed Brent brilliantly well since she took this role. Again, our Assistant Chief Executive, Shazia Hussein, they're doing a great job in Brent. Brent, as you know, is the most diverse borough and has its challenges, but Caroline and the team has done extremely well, and the face of Brent has changed for the better, and the many achievements that have been made have also been down to the extraordinary leadership and work ethics. So again, bringing it home, these are role models. Women in leadership, we have to work hard to promote that. In my family, a large family in Nigeria, we don't have that gap of who is a man or a woman. If a man has to go to university or has to go and do a PhD, there's a balance, there's openness. So we shouldn't have that barrier that this person is a woman, this is a man. So, and that is the challenge. We have to make sure we have to challenge those things so that it will be a thing of the past in our society. Women are great and should be celebrated, not just today, but every day. And that's how I will summarize that. Before I wrap up, I also made mention of the impact of COVID on gender equality. The pandemic is known to have had increased gender inequality, e.g. through increased caring responsibilities, increased level of domestic abuse, and its impact on women's career progression. So some of these things are, again, what we have to challenge. It's a difficult thing, but we have to start from somewhere. Women in leadership, also they are often underrepresented, and therefore often aren't included in key decision making. This can also contribute to gender equality issues such as gender pay gap. I think a couple of years ago, we saw a lot of news about gender pay gap from the BBC, and it's also resonates from time to time. I will round up by also mentioning that I think from what the Lord Lieutenant said, our role in the community is something that we always be out there speaking to people, speaking to community, bringing communities together, a lot of community cohesion and engagement. And I mean, as a mayor, I chose 2 charities when I was elected in 2019. One of them is Sickle Cell Society that based in Brent, and Jason Roberts Foundation that is delivering on anti-knife and gun crime. You know, we want to keep the young people safe. Finally, I'm going to finish by inviting you to step forward, to be seen, and to ask yourself, if not me, then who? If not now, when? And that's where I will end it. So let's go out there and challenge those inequalities. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
The beauty of technology, you've got to always remember to unmute yourself. Fantastic. Thank you ever so much to our mayor, the mayor of Brent, for joining us and for that wonderful speech. There was quite a lot of nuggets of challenges there for us to take away and, for us to take away and think about and actually look at how we can step up. One of the most important things that I've picked up during this period of International Women's Day celebration this year in particular, and I think it's mainly because of the challenge that we have, which is choose to challenge, is that every International Women's function that, celebration, conference that I've been to, we are challenged to do one thing or the other. But the mayor summarized it quite well for us. It's like, if not you, then who? If not now, then when? In other words, you are the right person to take action, and the time for you to take that action is right now. Okay, so moving on very swiftly, we're going to hear from the Vice President of the United States of America, and you'll find out how I managed to pull this one off. Again, thank God for technology, but there is a strong message that she has for this year's International Women's Day. She sums it up so well. It would not be right if I did not share this. So please, let's take the next 5 minutes just to listen to what the Vice President of the United States of America has to say about this year's International Women's Day.
Members of the European Parliament, it is an honor to address this esteemed institution on this important day, International Women's Day. Let me begin by saying that President Joe Biden and I look forward to working with members of this Parliament and fortifying the transatlantic alliance. Today, we face crises on almost every front: a pandemic that has taken the lives of more than 2.5 million people worldwide. A changing climate threatens the future of our Earth. A rise in populism is working to undercut democracies everywhere. Neither the United States nor Europe is immune from these threats. Today, it is essential that we work together to advance those principles that strengthen democracies, accountability and transparency, the rule of law, and human rights. And let us not overlook the opportunities right in front of us to do that. We know that the strength of our democracies and the strength of every nation on earth depends on the strength of all people. As half of the world's population, women drive major economic growth and major contributions to society. They are scientists who cure disease and the military members who defend our nations. They are entrepreneurs who create jobs and the educators who shape the next generation. And of course, women are government leaders, from this Parliament's first elected president, Simone Veil, to all the women leaders who sit among you today. Today, the global crises we now face have made abundantly clear both the contributions of women and the challenges facing women. Simply put, our world does not yet work for women as it should. COVID-19 has threatened the health, the economic security, and the physical security of women everywhere. The pandemic has overloaded healthcare systems, making it even harder for women to access the care they need. At the same time, women comprise 70% of the global health workforce, putting them on the front lines and at risk of contracting the virus. Other women have been forced out of the workforce entirely. Women working in often overlooked sectors have been hit the hardest, especially those working in low-wage jobs and those working in the informal economy. Last year, it was reported that globally nearly 3 in 4 domestic workers lost their jobs. And those who remain employed, well, they're paid far too little. Meanwhile, quarantine measures have meant that women have shouldered an increased burden at home as they care for children day and night. Time in isolation has also increased the risk of gender-based violence while interfering with services for survivors of domestic violence. I understand that last May, this Parliament opened the Helmut Kohl building so that some of these survivors might have a safe place to sleep. I have spent much of my career protecting survivors of domestic violence and child abuse, and I applaud your generosity. As we endure the pandemic, the economic instability, the racial injustice, the threats to democracy, and the effects of climate change, the question before us is simple. How do we build a world that works for women? I believe we must ensure women's safety at home and in every community. We must ensure that women can access high-quality health care and that those health needs particular to women are addressed. We must treat women with dignity at work and put in place the structures needed so that women can both care for their families and excel in the workforce. Finally, we must give women equal voice in decision-making, for this is essential to free and fair democracies. And this is not just an act of goodwill. This is a show of strength. If we build a world that works for women, our nations will all be safer, stronger, and more prosperous. This International Women's Day, let us be determined in this effort. Let us be united in this effort. I thank you, President Biden, and I look forward to working with you.
Seriously. Hello, can you hear me now, everyone?
Yes.
Sincere apologies, technology. I'm trying to do certain things with technology and it's working, I believe. Okay, fantastic. Here we are. I believe you can all hear me now. So that was a very interesting talk we heard there from Kamala Harris, the Vice President of the United States. I felt it was very, very important for us to hear that because I don't think we could have summarized it with the recent events that we've gone through since last year to this year any better than she did there in her speech. And of course, she is a woman herself. So moving on very swiftly, we're going to call on Dr. Arpita Ray, who is a director of Basildon Side by Side, to quickly share with us her thoughts on International Women's Day. Dr. Ray, are you there? You're on mute, Dr. Ray. And we need to see you as well, if possible. You're still muted. Okay, maybe we'll move on to Sidra, Lady Sidra Nahim, to give us the next talk. Lady Sidra, are you ready?
Yes, I am. I'm ready. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody, for inviting me today. I feel really, really important because you've chosen me amongst so many important people that have spoken today. I feel really, really privileged. So thank you very much. You always really, really respect me and treat me, you know, with great respect. So thank you very much for inviting me today to this very important event. I'm going to now try and share with you my life story, how everything happened with me, really, how I ended up doing what I do today. So I don't know if I will be able to, if you can allow me to share, please, today.
Yeah, just bear with me. I just wanted to make sure we got your your page up before I give you permission to do that. So okay, hold on 1 second. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, hopefully you should all be able to see that. Now it's really interesting that Jenny spoke about her dad and started off with her dad first. And that was really interesting because I'm going to start off with my dad. So my dad actually was born in India. It was India at the time during the British Empire days. And he really, really respected Britain because it was the British Raj at the time and everything. And he came over to Britain in 1962 as a student. And he is actually my largest role model. He was very, very hardworking, very well respected. He did so much within the community. And as you can see in the picture, he actually met Harold Wilson, who was the Prime Minister at the time when he came over. And he always taught us to mix with everybody, always taught us that we need to respect everyone of all different cultures, all different religions, all different colors. And this is actually a picture of me in my next door neighbor's lap, Dorothy. And we actually grew up with her, and she was in and out of our garden. She even crocheted some of my dresses, which I've still got for a reminder of her. She was Christian. And there were no barriers there at all, okay? And then in London, my dad in particular, who was really into British history, he made sure that we spoke English. And he also made sure that we learned about British culture. So this is actually a picture of me on the steps of Windsor Castle. And we learned about, you know, Buckingham Palace and Trafalgar Square and all the historic places. I also supported West Ham United as well. So we were brought up actually mixed with within British culture, mixed with everybody. I started off my studies doing science. I was actually a scientist, believe it or not, working quietly at the back of Moorfields Eye Hospital. And I'm mentioning this for a reason, because there are so many talks which I have done recently that have brought in all my science background. So, you know, for example, I've been promoting the vaccine recently. I've been guiding the council, and I've done many talks on the COVID vaccine, which have actually included all the biotechnology knowledge which I had when I did my degree. After that, I became a teacher for a reason, and you will learn all of that later on. I was a teacher for many, many years. I was specialized in special educational needs and disabilities, which then brought in all the knowledge on mental health, which obviously later on, again, I have done so many talks on mental health. It's helped me to learn about special needs children, learn about autism, ADHD, and I'm a chaplain at the moment. All of that actually came about by the plan of God, if you like, which is what I believe, which was me specializing within special needs and mental health. So I was quietly getting along, yes, me quietly getting along with my life. And then there was the biggest bang, really, that I can remember in my life, which woke me up big time. And that was actually 9/11. When 9/11 happened, that week, I lost a lot of friends. I was at that time living in Brentford. It was a very white British English area at the time. And all of a sudden, everybody painted everyone who was Muslim with the same brush, and even anybody who was Asian, without even looking at their religion. And one of the first questions I got, which actually made me very, very upset, was, do I walk 10 feet behind my husband? Am I from the religion where I walk 10 feet behind my husband? And that actually made me very upset, because me being a British person, very strong person, very well educated, I thought, where on earth are these ideas coming from? And obviously they were all from the media. So that is actually what made me realize that I've got to go out there and I've got to put the record straight, because that is not how it is. Okay, so one of the first things that I did, even before I started wearing my headscarf, was I started going to peace fairs. So this is one actually at the Quaker House in Chelmsford. And this lovely lady was actually the mayor at the time. And she came to my store and she had loads of probing questions about, not just about Islam, but about Asian women in general, which I answered very nicely. And she told me I answered them really nicely. So when I did that, then I knew I had the power really to simplify things as a teacher and to explain things in such a way that other people then understand. And I always had the backup of my family, which was really good as well. So my husband, being quite well educated as a doctor, actually helped me a lot as well with that mission. I started engaging in interfaith activities, which I felt was very, very important in order to portray myself as a strong Muslim woman. And here is another mayor and mayoress from another year on the left, who actually came to an event which I had organized, an interfaith event. And something really interesting is, if you see me on the picture on the right, I joined two interfaith forums, one in Chelmsford, the Mid-Essex Interfaith Forum, and the other one was in Havering, the Havering Interfaith Forum. And in a lot of these events, I was the only woman. And that was good, because it portrayed that women can be leaders of faith. It doesn't just have to be men. One way, in fact, Jenny, I really enjoyed her talk, mentioned about incorporating children into activities. And that's exactly what I did as well. So here is a picture of me where I incorporated children into a fun interfaith activity where they sang a song about how great God was and all his creation. And I did that by integrating, into the British society. I was also invited by so many churches to come and give talks to dispel the myths within Islamophobia, to eradicate Islamophobia, which I could have only have done because I was a teacher. So I had brilliant presentation skills, brilliant speaking skills, which engaged the audience and kept them engaged for hours with question and answer sessions. And I got great strength from all the interfaith work that I did in order to answer questions, sometimes very difficult questions as well. And a lot of these churches were surprised. They'd say, oh, we were expecting an imam to come, but you're a Muslim woman. And I thought, yes, well done for noticing that, because it's good I was a Muslim woman, because I was dispelling some of the myths about Muslim women being oppressed and also being British, even though I was wearing a headscarf. So again, this is Chelmsford Cathedral, where I took some children along for a Christmas service, where they sung a beautiful song about how to help the poor with food. And all the children, they dressed up in different costumes native to the country that they were from. And at that time, approximately, because I engaged with the cathedral, I was asked to start speaking and doing speeches in very important events, like the High Sheriff of Essex or the chair of Essex County Council's services. And I really, really enjoyed that. And I never, ever shied away, me being a Muslim woman, to go into a church. I believe that all places of worship are sacred and we need to respect all faiths and none. So I did that very nicely. And whenever there was a vigil in a church, sometimes caused by these disastrous terrorist activities that went on, I was always there condemning everything, saying, no, no, it's not good. We must not do this. And I would go into the church and I would do a lovely piece reading. Many, many churches, some within East London who were predominantly from the Black African community, invited me to give talks about Islamophobia, and me being an Asian woman as I was, I being oppressed. And I dispelled all those myths, and you know, there was a great liking to me from wherever I went. This one is actually in Billericay. One of the greatest things that I did was to advise the council, and SACRE, Standing Advisory Council of Religious Education, is actually one of the places where I was invited as a teacher to have an input into the curriculum, the religious education curriculum within Essex. So I helped with all the faiths to write that curriculum, and that has been going on since 2003. I get invited to 120 schools per year to go and do assemblies, workshops, classroom lessons on all faiths and none. And this is actually a picture of one of my very first assemblies, which I did. It was on our festival Eid, and all the children came to the front and they're dressed up in Eid clothes, and it's really lovely. I also go to places of worship and I host children coming there as well. So 120, and even during the epidemic, I have carried on doing Zoom sessions with the children, with schools. I've been advising Essex Council, Havering Council, Basildon Council for many, many years on so many matters of faith. The latest has been actually trying to promote the census as well. And then I started feeding the homeless. The homeless at feeding started very, very early, because it's actually part of our faith as well, to feel humble and to feed the homeless. And I've been doing that in Havering as well as Essex. And one of the best ways in which you can engage with people from all over the world is by food. Who doesn't like food? So food is actually part of our culture, and that is the best way in which you can engage with everybody. So everyone from my community would make big, lovely, wonderful dishes from all over the world, and we would actually then feed the homeless with those lovely dishes and invite other people, whoever wanted to come. I've had plenty of people coming from the councils to some of these events that I've been organising. And then Jenny very nicely mentioned the cricket matches. That is actually one tiny little thing which I've been doing, and they have been going down really well because everybody can be united through sports and food. And this is actually a picture from the very first one that happened. and everybody enjoyed it. It was against Chelmsford Cathedral and Chelmsford Mosque. All the reverends came, regardless of what faith we were, and afterwards we had a wonderful, wonderful meal. And it's really interesting, but if everybody can mute themselves, please. I think some people are unmuted. There was also, this is the first time actually that we actually got into the papers. It is very, very hard, and I will repeat this, very, very hard for a Muslim person to get into the newspapers for something that they do which is good. In fact, I have found up the newspapers and sometimes they say good news is no news and they refuse to put things in. So it's very, very hard. But when you engage within the British community, within the Christian community, it can be easier to get into the newspapers in that way. So we have worked around that. Interfaith quizzes is something which I have been doing for years, and they go down really, really well, where we engage with all faiths and none. And me being a teacher again, which is why I believe God made me a teacher for a reason, I've got the skills then to portray that quiz in a really, really fun way. For everybody's information, we have got one interfaith quiz night tomorrow, which I'm really looking forward to in Havering, which I am also the quiz mistress of. And then something else, which a lot of people may not know, I became the secretary of Essex Mind and Spirit, which is an organization which is linked with mental health, and how faith, prayer, fasting, meditation can help with mental health. And I do that actually with the Vice Dean of Chelmsford Cathedral. And we have arranged many conferences in the past where I have also done workshops. And it's through that Essex Mind and Spirit that I opened up a women's group, which was for everybody to deal with anxiety, depression, any women who are isolated in their houses. And that was actually very, very nicely supported by Basildon Council. So here is a Christmas party on the left, which we did for everybody. We've got an Eid party on the bottom left, and we've got a Jubilee party. And we even had a Britain's Got Talent competition, which was absolutely wonderful, where I actually did some Bhangra dancing. Yes, me, yes, I can do dancing as well. I did some Bhangra dancing at that talent show and won the competition. And then we also had Chinese dancing there as well. That Women Together has done so well. We have engaged in so many stalls where I have really empowered women from all different backgrounds, including white British English as well. So here are some lovely ladies who made some crafts, and then we sold them on a stall in Towngate Theatre, which really, really raised their confidence. There is another picture there of Women Together stall. And here is another very, very brilliant mental health conference that was actually organised by Basildon. And there sitting next to me is, I've forgotten his name, can't think straight, Bruno, Frank Bruno, the boxer.
Frank Bruno, okay.
Yes, Frank Bruno, yes.
Okay, just one more minute.
I'm on my last few slides. Okay, and now Jenny mentioned Commonwealth. And during the Commonwealth year, I also organised so many Commonwealth events. And this is one at the university. And as you can see, I've got Ivor Moody, who is the Vice Dean of the Cathedral, who's also chair of the Mid-Essex Interfaith Forum, who also attended. And through some of those Commonwealth events, I met lots of Black African ladies who've got really prominent roles, and I've got them there. I also then started doing radio shows, television shows, and I was very privileged to meet the Queen as well. And for the first time, I got in the newspapers without a battle. But it took something like me meeting the Queen to get in there. So all my volunteering paid off, where I went to Buckingham Palace. And I also met at a different Buckingham Palace visit to the garden party, Camilla, as well. And I'm going to finish off by mentioning that I was very privileged to be nominated to be the very first deputy lieutenant from a Black Asian minority ethnic background within Essex, the very first one. So that was really, really a huge privilege for me. And through that role, then I met more deputy lieutenants as well. So here is one here in Hayring in the bottom slide, and the High Sheriff is in the top one. So that brings me to the end. Thank you very much for listening. Yetunde? Are you there? I think you're muted this time.
I am. I need to be unmuted. That's the secret of this these online events. So thank you so much, Lady Sidra, so much that you've shared with us there about yourself, phenomenal work that you're doing or you've done in the past, and no doubt, because it's in your blood, you'll be doing more going forward. It's amazing. One thing I do want to share with everybody tonight is that community work, as much, you've got to love it. And if you do it, there's always a reward. There's always a reward at the end of it. You always end up with something that you never expected that you could ever have. So I'm just using it. If we're going to choose to challenge, why don't we choose to challenge ourselves to get more involved in our communities? That's what we challenged the women that joined us on Saturday morning to do, because women are needed everywhere. We're needed in the community. We're needed in, we're needed by the side of the Queen to represent, just like Sidra is now doing. We're needed in schools as school governors. We're needed in the business world as Camilla Harris said, that we are scientists. We're everywhere, but there needs to be more of us. And there can only be more of us if we're all standing up. We need to stand up and start doing something. It's one thing to come to these kind of celebrations or conferences here of people like Sidra and Jenny Tolhurst, who are women and doing phenomenal things. I mean, if there's time, I'll tell you about the amazing things that I've been doing, but I do it without thinking. Because I do it because I love it. I love being in the community. I love people. I love events. I like organizing stuff. So actually, community gives me the perfect excuse to be me. But all we do want is to challenge more women to actually come on board and step up to the community. And you never know what door is going to open up to you as well. So thank you so much, Sidra, for joining us this evening. I hope you're still with us for a little bit longer as we listen to two more speakers, and then we take some questions very quickly before we wrap it up for tonight. Okay, so on that note, do we have Dr. Ray Apita? Is she ready now?
Yes.
Okay, I've got to find you. I think, oh gosh, I found you and then I lost you. I've got to find you. Imagine going to an event and you have to find your speakers. That's an interesting one, isn't it? Okay, so please join with me this evening to welcome to the podium, not really a podium, but to welcome to our Zoom meeting, our next guest speaker, Dr. Ray Apita, who is part of Basildon Side by Side. She is a director at Basildon Side by Side, but again, she does amazing things in her community as well. So join me to welcome Dr. Ray Apita. Dr. Apita Ray? Sorry, I always get it wrong. Okay, so over to you.
Good evening, everybody. I have joined late because my clinic overran. And then I was listening quietly, and it was really inspirational to hear everybody talking about how they have essentially challenged the glass ceiling, and actually they have made their mark. And not only that, they have inspired a lot of women, lot of men with their life story. I came from India to this country 20 years back. I am a doctor by profession. I'm a gynecologist because I feel that women can be very comfortable with another woman when they are going through important events of their life. And that was the reason why I moved into gynecology and obstetrics. And then I moved into super specialty of infertility and reproductive medicine. And at that point, I started facing the challenge from my colleagues. And the question was, and I never thought that I will hear those comments. It's like, as a female consultant, why do you want to practice infertility? It's a highly male-dominated society in London and surrounding. You will not survive here. And my answer to any of those challenges is always, I do not have any other option. So you love me or hate me, I will be there with you. And here I am now. I am one of the lead for world's first IVF clinic, which is Bone Hall Fertility Clinic. And I say really proudly that I lead our all-women team and giving smile to different variety of couple, even to the single woman or a single man. Giving them that right, what they want is having a family. But when I moved to Essex, at that point, I just felt that I need to build a community around me. Because when I first came here, I didn't know anyone. So what I did, I kind of typed, that time social media was not that active. So therefore, I just typed Indians in Billericay. And I kind of called a complete stranger on day 2 of arriving Billericay. And I just called that I have come here, I would like to meet you. And that gentleman and his wife came and met me. And now we have created a charity called Essex Indian. And we work together with different council. The charity works happens in India and in locally as well. So I think, and I have got immense support from people from different ethnic background, different community. And through this community work, I made friends. And Yetunde is one of them, where I have dragged her into one of my events for International Mother Language Day. Because for me, you cannot do this is not an answer. Because there is no other way out apart from going ahead and get it done. And I always tell people, whoever says like, oh, I can't do it, or this life is very difficult, I always say, look, there are so many people who does not have A, B, C, what we all have. We never has to face struggle to get our education. We never has to face struggle to get our job. We never have to think about how I am going to run my family next day. But look at the people on the other side where there is these problems.
Dr. Ray.
Yeah.
Dr. Ray, sorry, I just want to make a quick announcement and you continue. Yeah. Please, everyone, it's 8 o'clock. Remember, 8 o'clock we have to lit the smartphone light. And remember, we're going to celebrate the National Day of Reflection and Candles at 8 o'clock. So please just remember, if you don't have a candle, light your mobile phone light. Sorry, Dr. Ray, it's just—
Yeah, no, absolutely. I have got that beside me, so I have done that.
Fantastic. So thank you. Sorry about the interruption. Continue.
No, that's absolutely fine. Okay. So I think it's important when we are talking about Women's Day, women empowerment, it's time for reflection. It's time for being grateful what we have had as a woman and what we can give to other people, irrespective of their gender, irrespective of their ethnicity, irrespective of their caste and creed. So to my colleagues who has one day told me that as a female consultant, how you were going to last in this country, my answer is, I did it. So that's why nowadays, because I believe in global community, I teach my MD student as a professor in New Vision University in Georgia. At the same time, I teach street medicine female health workers over Zoom for female health and well-being in India. So there is no limit how you can help others. I have heard one thing by one of my driving instructor who said, "You are never going to drive in this country." And my answer to him was, that is not an option to me. And what I did afterwards, I passed. I failed 5 times, but 6th time I did pass, and I drive a lot. And I'm the first Indian doctor who took a challenge of driving John O'Groats to Land's End within a single day, complete solo driving. And I just thought, when I reached my target and completed the challenge, raised money for the charity back in India, I just thought, I wish I have the phone number of my driving instructor and I could show him that certificate. So if anybody challenges anyone in this pre-COVID or post-COVID situation, I think all of us should encourage people to say, whether it's a man or woman, saying no is not an answer. We have done it in the past and we will do it again and again. Thank you.
Mute. Okay, thank you so much. It's been fantastic. Thank you for making it short. I hope we all lit our candles as we were reminded by Dr. Okupaka. Did we all light our candles? If you didn't light a candle, you should have used your phone. So I did use mine. So I'm just gonna officially do it now in remembrance of what's gone on, those whose lives we've lost over the years, over this last year, before we quickly move on to, in fact, can we just hold like a 30-second silence for them as well, if not a minute. May God continue to have mercy upon our land and our nation, and may all souls that have been lost continue to rest in perfect peace. Amen. Okay, moving on to the last speaker for tonight, and then we go on to our Q&A very quickly, and we'll try and wrap it up as soon as possible. We have gone a little bit over time, but that's been down to technology. All of our speakers have actually been fantastic. They've stuck within their time. So down to technology, we're running a little bit behind schedule. So without further ado, I'm going to invite now our last speaker, and in honor of the reason why we're here, community cohesion and engagement, Reverend David Ibiayo, community cohesion and engagement thematic group lead for Basildon Side by Side. And Reverend David Ibiayo, actually, I always joke at him because he's a Nigerian, and he's He's a priest at the Church of England, which is very rare for us to get. So we do appreciate him. He's always smiling. He's even smiling in the picture. So please join me to welcome to Zoom. We're not saying to this platform anymore. Welcome me to join to this Zoom platform tonight, Reverend David Ibiayo.
Big thank you. Well, I'd like to declare an interest on this topic, because I have my wife and I have 4 daughters. So I have to choose to challenge. I'm picking up from what the mayor said, speaking about gender pay gap. I just said to him that if I thought he does start a petition, I have my wife, 4 daughters, and myself to come sign it. So of course, talking about choose to challenge, one thing I'll say is this, because there's always the tendency to focus on what happens outside the home. Talking about the woman, the workplace, about leadership. But let's pay a thought for what happens in our homes. Because when we talk about choose to challenge, it has to start from our homes. Because for women, what they are good at can stop their progress. We spoke about food. In most households, who cooks the meals? Of course, mostly women. And there's things like, oh, because she's good at it, oh, please keep cooking. Oh, because she's good at it, oh, please don't stop. Oh, we don't trust our dad, But, so where is she going to get time? She's never going to get time. She's never going to get time. So what women are good at can stop them from making progress. So I think it is important we start this choose to challenge in our homes. Actually, I have to challenge myself as well. I'm not a great cook, but it would be nice maybe I can tell my wife, well, let's experiment today, whatever I put together. And of course, we have 999 on standby. But choose to challenge, choose to challenge, choose to challenge. It's nice to think about outside the home, but we have to think about homes as well. And also, let's pay a thought. How do we support the women in our lives, our neighbors? There's this passage in scripture that talks like this. It says that each of you should look not only to your own interest, but to the interest of others. And it's so true. It's so true. Because if you look at the world, we often hear men's club, men's club, men's club, men's club. It's not just particular to men. People who have a joint interest, they try to protect things. They don't open up. They don't give others opportunity. The women in our lives, what opportunity are we giving them? What opportunity? So it's down to us to start from the home. We need to challenge ourselves and say, what opportunity are we giving the women in our lives? So the first thing, because they're good at things, we lumber them with it. Oh, keep doing it, keep doing it. Oh, you're good at cleaning the house. Oh, you're good at cleaning meals, We have to challenge ourselves, let's give them a respite, let's give them a break. They might love to do it, but we have to give them a break. So what's my prayer? As we say, choose to challenge, we pray we challenge people with grace, because there's a way we can challenge people whereby we won't win their hearts. We need to challenge people and win their hearts and get everybody on board. How many people in the world? 7 billion people plus in the world. And a woman has a part to play with it, a major part. Think about that. Where would it be without women? I rest my case.
Awesome. Thank you so much. You kept that to the point. There was no better way to end it up. And that was choosing to challenge. I'm taking it as choosing to challenge men as opposed to women. Is that right, Reverend? It's like choosing to challenge men. We're experimenting. I was borrowing that for my husband. Why don't we try experimenting? There's always 999. Okay. All right. So we're choosing to challenge. Actually, I like that, because when we say we're choosing to challenge women, and for the I think the I've forgotten the name of the union, but their theme is women in leadership for post-COVID post-COVID world. How do we get more women into leadership? How do we get more young women into leadership? So, even choosing to challenge what Reverend said at home is actually if men started doing some of the things that women are notoriously known to do at home, maybe then we can start to release a little bit of the women to do the leadership that they can do and are capable of doing. So thank you so much, Reverend David. That is actually our last speaker for tonight. So if anyone has any questions, we're going to take a few questions. If you have a question for Jenny Tallhurst, if you have a question for Sidra, if you have a question for me, for Dr. Kupaka. By the way, Dr. Kupaka, he's been vaccinating the whole of Basildon. So if you haven't been vaccinated, there's no excuse. You can go to Dr. Kupaka. He'll be more than happy to vaccinate you. I think I was talking about him to somebody last night. I said, after all this vaccination, what's he going to do when he has nobody to inject? Okay, he's just going to have to create his own vaccination and start vaccinating just for the sake of vaccinating. Okay, it's question time. Let's make it as quickly as we can because we have definitely ran out of time. And this evening we were supposed to be joined by Rani Moorcroft as well. Unfortunately, she couldn't join us because she had to be at another engagement for the purpose of the young people in Basildon. So she's not able to join us tonight. And actually, before we go into question time, we are honored to have here the former mayor of Thurrock, Mr. Tunde Ojetola. Is he still here? Can you just say a quick hello before we go to our question time? If you have any questions, can you start to type your questions in the chat box or raise your hands so that we can call you up? Is the former mayor of Thurrock, are you still here? Mr. Tunde Ojetola? Yes, he is. He is. Okay, fantastic. Can you just say a quick hello and just one or two things on this current topic?
Well, hello, everybody, and nice to have you, for you to have me here. I was meant to just be quiet in the background, so as usual, you put me on the spot yet again. But no, I'm pleased to support this event. It's really great to see all the work you and you're doing and what your team are doing. I listened to the Lord Lieutenant. I'm pleased about the work she was doing. I think the event she showed, I was actually at that event too. Taking children from Thurrock at the time, to the event. So it was really great. It was a really great event at the time. But no, and I actually supported Choose to Challenge. I pledged to support and promote women gender equality in the workplace as part of, because I think it's essential that everyone gets involved in this. So no, well done to you all, and keep up the good work, and let's continue. You're in Basildon, I'm in Thurrock here. Let's continue just fighting the good fight and making sure we tackle all sorts of discrimination in this area. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for your kind words. We continue the fight in Basildon and we will join you in Thurrock. Okay, very quickly, any questions? Let's take questions very quickly. If there's no questions, I'm going to hand over to Dr. Kupaka, who will wrap it up for us for this evening. Any questions from anyone? Okay, I think Jenny has a question.
Hi, I haven't got a question, but I did want to say hello to Tunde.
Okay, go ahead.
For a couple of years.
Yeah.
I saw quite a lot of him in the year he was mayor, and he was a very good mayor. No, it's very nice to see you, Tunde.
Thank you. Nice to see you too. Thanks, Jenny. Thank you.
Okay, great. Anyone else? Okay, no questions. Dr. Kupaka, are you ready to wrap it up for the evening for us?
Yes, today, and all the speakers have done a fantastic job. I mean, you can see the CV of our directors. Today, I dare not ask you to say yours or Dr. Ray. Sidra, thank you very much. But I will start with our Lord Lieutenant, Jenny Tallhurst. It's such a pleasure to listen to you. And you did a fantastic job in educating us. at side, Ambassador side by side, you can see we're all gender friendly, actually dominated by women. So this is a special day for all women. Yes, so I thank you so much for choosing today. It's a memorable day. It's the day the country came into lockdown, but we've done this on such a memorable day, and I hope that everyone will remember this event. Hopefully, this will be a yearly event. So I thank you so much. Thank you, Mayor of Brent. Everyone that speaks will say, it all started from the home. The woman will get the support from the man before she goes anywhere. The home is the base. Reverend Ibiayo has touched on that. It has to start from the home. We have to give all our women support. Remember, they work 24 hours a day and they don't get paid. To look after the family, to look after the kids, they deserve our support. Everything we do, they are fantastic. Look at the 3 countries, Finland, New Zealand, and Taiwan. Look at how COVID was managed completely and very successfully. Look at Angela Merkel. I had the privilege to work under the DG of WTO, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. And I can tell you, she is a disciplinarian, everybody. She knows how to manage people. Kamala Harris, you've seen what she presented. Down back home, we have our ladies everywhere. The mayor of Enfield, she's always here with us. We have everyone in Basildon. I can't mention names. In particular, we have the COVID vaccination program ongoing, led by one of our BAME. It's also a BAME-dominated activity. Kamala Harris said 70% of workforce in health are women. So also in Basildon, we have to celebrate our women, especially the BAME ones that spend time day after day vaccinating. Without them, this vaccination program will not succeed. We actually have one of them logged on here, and we thank all the BAME and the BAME community in Basildon that has made this happen and that has brought down the scourge of this virus. Also led by the Federation head, Medical Director, Dr. Dutola. I must mention his name. He is a great person to work with. So I thank everyone that has made it. I can see at some point 22 people were logged on, but there are a lot of people that will share this video on YouTube. Yesterday, you've done a very good work. I have no doubts about what you do, how you package things. Sidra, I've always I spoke to you some time ago. I said, come and join us. I'm happy you shared. You have a track record. And these are the caliber of women in side by side. Dr. Ray, there is no point talking about what you've been doing because you and so many other women in gynecology have provided such a fantastic care to the British population that we deserve to celebrate you and everyone like you. We thank all the men and all the people that have logged in here and stayed till the end of this program. My advice is, please, if you have the chance to get vaccinated, please get vaccinated. Don't be carried away or deceived by what some of the myth in social media. The vaccine is safe, it's working, it's driven down the death toll and the infection rate in this country. And I can tell you, it is a success. We thank everyone that has made it tonight. And thank you, I can't thank you enough, but thank you for staying with us and being part of what we've done tonight. Thank you very much. So finally, please, side by side is we have a website, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter. If you want to contact us, please look at the email address. We have the thematic groups. We invite everyone across the borough, the communities, to get involved. Look at this thematic group and see what you can do. You can contact me today, you can contact myself, you can contact Dr. Peter, Dr. Ray, who are directors. Sidra would like to have you on board. So many other people we have, I can't mention names, but I can see all of you here. I thank you so much. Please get more information about what we do in Side by Side, get involved, and thank you for a successful International Women's Day event by Basildon Side by Side. Thank you so much, and thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We really appreciate you. The evening has come to an end, and Dr. Kupaka has spoken, so there's really nothing left for me to say. So I guess on behalf of Basildon Side by Side, we say thank you, good night, and hopefully we'll see you all again next year, but live. We need to go back to live events. I miss seeing people and hugging people and taking pictures. So we'll see you all next year. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Small moments and families work together. It's been many months since the last visit before Hugo has seen his granddad.